Meditation on RIbhu Gita, Chapter-5. Determination of the phenomenal world being void and the non-existence of all. RIbhu. I shall tell you about the world being void. It has been equated to the horns of a hare. This knowledge is rare in all the worlds. Listen with an attentive mind. This phenomenal world, whatever a little one hears or sees of it, the form that is seen and the form of the seer are all like the horns of a hare. Earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, ego, and light are all like the horns of a hare. Destruction, creation, existence, the world, the galaxies, merit, demerit, victory, and delusion are all like the horns of a hare. Horns of a hare means void or non-existent, illusory. Desire, anger, greed, infatuation, pride, delusion, love, steadfastness, and guru, disciple, instruction, and such are all like the horns of a hare. I, you, the world, and all other such notions, the beginning, the end, and the middle, the past, the future, and the present are all like the horns of a hare. The gross body, the subtle body, the cause and the effect, and what little there is of the seen and the seeing are all like the horns of a hare. The enjoyer, the enjoyable, and the enjoyment, the primary and the secondary meanings of a word, non-difference among these, tranquility, inquiry, and happiness are all like the horns of a hare. Yama, self-control, niyama, observances, pranayama, breath control, and other such terms, forward movement, oscillation, and thinking are all like the horns of a hare. The ears, eyes, body, lineage, what is to be kept secret, inertia, Hari, Shiva, the beginning, the end, and the urge for liberation are all like the horns of a hare. The organs of knowledge, the senses, the group of organs of action, waking, dream, deep sleep, and any other such state are all like the horns of a hare. The tattvas, they are 24 in variety. The four means similar categories, and these similar categories are all like the horns of a hare. All the worlds, all the beings, all dharmas with their philosophies, all learning and all ignorance are all like the horns of a hare. All the castes, all the communities, all holy shrines and waters, all Vedas and all scriptures are all like the horns of a hare. All bondage, all liberation, all knowledge, Ishvara, all time, and all instruction are all like the horns of a hare. All existence, all actions, all meetings with the wise, and all duality are of the nature of unreality. All are like the horns of a hare. All Vedanta, all determined conclusions, all the definitions of scriptural meanings, and the reality of all life are all like the horns of a hare. Whatever little is known, whatever is seen in this world, and whatever you hear from the Guru are all like the horns of a hare. Whatever you contemplate upon in your thoughts, whatever is your sankalpa at any time, and whatever is decided upon by the intellect, all that is like the horns of a hare. Whatever is brought out by words, whatever is explained by words, and whatever is sensed by all the sense organs are all like the horns of a hare. Whatever object is renounced, whatever is heard or seen, and one's own or others are all like the horns of a hare. Whatever manifests as an existence, whatever manifests as an object with an essence, and whatever is imagined in the mind are all like the horns of a hare. Whatever is determined as the self, whatever words are considered to be eternal, and whatever is inquired into in the mind are all like the horns of a hare. Shiva ever destroys, Vishnu protects the triad of worlds, and Brahma creates the worlds. All these concepts are like the horns of a hare. what is said to be the soul, whatever words are spoken, what the word transmigration signifies, all are like the horns of a hare. Whatever is in the Puranas, whatever is defined in the Vedas, the stand of all the Upanishads, all are like the horns of a hare. This explanation, like the horns of a hare, has been told to you. Whoever hears this secret becomes himself Brahman indeed. Here further, Nidagha, it is certain that all is Brahman, good soul. This knowledge is rare to come by for men and even for gods. Here further, whatever form is called this, whatever again is I, and what is seen as this, all is Brahman alone. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. The sankalpa that I am the body, that itself is said to be fear. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that is said to be the inner senses. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. The sankalpa that I am the body, that is said to be the cycle of birth and death. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that is said here to be bondage. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The false understanding that I am the body, that is said to be the hell. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. Meditate upon this. The sankalpa that I am the body, that is said to be all the phenomenal world. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that is said to be the knot in the heart, Hriday Granthi. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa of being the triad of bodies, that is said to be the knowledge of the body. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. In all the period of time, the sankalpa that I am the body, and also the idea of reality and unreality are not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that is said here to be the manifest world. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that itself is said to be ignorance. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that is said to be the tinted past impressions. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that is truly the individual soul indeed. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body is spoken of as the great hell. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that's certainly the mind only. That is certainly the mind only. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that is spoken of as the limitation. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The false understanding that I am the body, that is spoken of as all sorrow. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The false understanding that I am the body, that is said to be the conflict. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that itself is understood to be death. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that itself is understood to be the inauspiciousness. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that itself is understood to be a great sin. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The intellectual conclusion that I am the body, that itself is said to be a great prejudiced conception. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that itself is understood to be all defects. In all the period of time, it is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that itself is said to be the blemish. In all the period of time, It is not so. All is Brahman alone. The sankalpa that I am the body, that itself is said to be the great uncertainty in all the period of time. It is not so. All is Brahman alone. Whatever little there is of thought is sorrow. Whatever little there is of thought is the world. Whatever little there is of thought is desire. Whatever little there is of thought is a blemish. Whatever little there is of remembrance of sin, whatever little of thought there is about the mind, what little sankalpa there is said to be the great disease. What little sankalpa there is said to be the great delusion. What little sankalpa there is given as the example of the triad of afflictions, daihik, daivik, bhautik. What little sankalpa there is said to be craving and anger. What little sankalpa there is said to be attachment, nothing else. What little sankalpa there is all sorrow, nothing else. What little sankalpa there is a misapprehension about the reality of the world. What little sankalpa there is a great defect, nothing else. What little sankalpa there is said to be the triad of time. What little sankalpa there is said to be the multiplicity of forms. Wherever there is sankalpa, there is the great world. Wherever there is sankalpa, there is unreality indeed. What little sankalpa is there is the phenomenal world. There is no doubt of this. Meditate on this profound truth. Reflect, contemplate and meditate on these profound truths of your true nature and the unreality of the phenomenal world. What little sankalpa is there, all that doesn't exist, there is no doubt of this. The mind only is all the world. The mind itself is the great enemy. Listen carefully and reflect on this. The mind only is all the world. The mind itself is great enemy. The mind only is itself transmigration. The mind itself is the triad of worlds. The mind itself is the great sorrow. The mind itself is old age and others. The mind only is itself time. The mind only is itself the blemish ever. The mind itself is sankalpa. The mind itself is the basis of the individual soul. The mind only is itself the pollution always. The mind itself is marvelous magic. The mind itself is the great illusion. The mind is like the son of a barren woman. The mind is like the son of a barren woman. The mind itself doesn't exist ever. The mind itself is ever inert. The mind itself is thought, and the mind itself is the ego. Meditate upon these eternal truths. Reflect and contemplate on these life-changing words. The mind itself is the great bondage. Sometimes the mind itself is antahakarana, the inner faculty. The mind itself is the earth also. The mind itself is water. The mind itself is fire. The mind itself is the great air. The mind itself is space also. The mind itself is what produces sound. The mind itself is of the nature of touch. The mind itself is what creates forms. The mind itself is what creates forms. Reflect on this great revelation. The mind itself is what creates forms. Beyond mind there is no form. The mind itself is of the nature of taste. The mind itself is said to be smell. The sheath of food, asthul sharira, the physical body, is of the nature of the mind. The sheath of prana, the pranamaya kosh, vital airs, is of the nature of the mind. The sheath of mind, that is manomaya kosh, is of the nature of mind. Empirical knowledge also is of the nature of the mind. The mind itself is the sheath of bliss, Anandamaya Kosh. The mind is the waking state. The mind itself is the dream state. And the mind itself is the deep sleep state. These three states of your consciousness, the waking, sleeping and dream, are all projections of the mind, and the self is beyond the mind. The mind is the gods and the others. The mind is Yama, god of death, and others. The mind itself is what little there is. The mind itself is pervaded by the mind. This universe is filled with the mind. The body is filled with the mind. Whatever has happened and whatever seems to exist is filled with the mind. This duality is filled with the mind. This identification as a category is filled with the mind. This attribute is filled with the mind. This which is seen is filled with the mind. This insentience is filled with the mind. Whatever is filled with the mind. The mind appears as the individual soul. Ignorance is due only to sankalpa. Difference is due only to sankalpa, certainly. Empirical knowledge is only sankalpa. The pairs of opposites are only sankalpa indeed. Sankalpa means mental modifications. The chain of compulsive thought is called sankalpa. The pairs of opposites are only sankalpa indeed. Time also is only sankalpa. Space is only sankalpa. The time and space exist only in your mind. Once you transcend the realm of the mind, there is neither time nor space. There is only eternity and infinity. That is the nature of the self, the Atman, the Paramatman, that you are. The mind, the sankalpa, the mental modifications alone have enchained you. They have created all sense of fear from disease, death, sorrow and suffering. Beyond the mind, there is no death, there is no sorrow, there is no disease. That's why the samadhi, jnana samadhi, sahaj samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi is key to self-realization, key to enlightenment and God realization and moksha and liberation, because all the bondage, ignorance and suffering is in the realm of the mind. Transcend the realm of the mind. You are free right now, right here. You are Brahman, Paramatman right now, right here. Contemplate on this truth, meditate on this truth, and try to transcend your mind. Try to go beyond the compulsive chain of thoughts to realize your true nature. Meditate upon the self, the seer of the mind, the witness of the mind and the body. That is the Brahman ever present within you. The body is only a sankalpa, and prana, the life force, is only a sankalpa. Reflection is only sankalpa. Listening is ever only sankalpa. Sankalpa means thought. Put it differently, the body is only a thought. The prana is only a thought. Reflection is only thought. Listening is ever only thought alone. Hell is only a sankalpa, means thought, a state of mind. In ultimate reality, there is no hell. Hell is only a sankalpa. Heaven also is only a sankalpa. Only consciousness is only a sankalpa. Indeed, the thought of the self is also only sankalpa. Whether it is the sankalpa of trivial entities or the sankalpa about Brahman, what little of sankalpa there is non-existent at any time. The most profound revelation in this line, Ribhu is trying to suggest that there is no difference between the thought of trivial, perishable, momentary things and the thought of even the Brahman, because wherever there is a notion, a thought, a sankalpa, it is just imagination, it's unreal. So thought of the God and thought of the evil, the thought of the Brahman and thought of samsara, both are equal in that sense, because thought is always unreal, illusory projection of the mind, The self, the Brahman, the Paramatman is beyond mind. All sorrows and sufferings in you, the fear you are suffering from the entire mankind is being spooked and frightened by the impending infection by corona virus, the looming uncertainty of disease and death. It's all mental creation. Transcend the mind. You are free from all fear of disease and death. All death and birth, sorrow and suffering, disease and afflictions and infections are creations of mind, because the body itself is a sankalpa, a mental creation. There is nothing called body beyond the mind. Meditate upon this truth, reflect upon this truth, become free, abide in the self. Sankalpa is unreal. Keep in mind, Sankalpa means, in simple terms, thought or mind. Sankalpa is unreal indeed. The triad of worlds is unreal. The Guru is unreal. The Shishya, the disciple, is unreal also. In fact, the words and the realm of duality all are in the realm of unreality. The truth is beyond Guru and disciple. The truth, the Brahman, is beyond devotee and the God. Because God and devotee are mere words, mere sankalpas. The body also is unreal. The mind doesn't exist ever. The trivial doesn't exist either. The entire world doesn't exist. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This entire phenomenal world is false, illusory appearance. Reflect on this truth. Meditate on this in order to become free from all fear, sorrow, suffering, disease and death. Beings don't exist either. All is non-existent. There is no doubt about this, Nidagha, that all is non-existent has been said by me in this discussion. Whoever hears this even once, he himself becomes Brahman indeed. At the end of every chapter in Ribhu Gita, there is the greatest and bold declaration by the sage Ribhu that whosoever listens the fundamental, most profound revelations of even one chapter of Ribhu Gita will become Brahman himself. If you listen carefully the words, contemplate, reflect and meditate upon these revelations, this pulse of divine wisdom, and then abide in the self, in the truth, you become free right now, right here, from all the sorrows and sufferings, the fear of coronavirus pandemic, the fear of disease, infection, affliction, the fear of death. You are free right now, right here, if you could truly, with full attention, full devotion, understand the purport of the words uttered by sage Ribhu in Ribhu Gita. Meditate with full devotion upon these truths. to realize your immortal nature, because you are always immortal beyond death and disease, but out of your ignorance caused by mind and sankalpa, you have come to believe that you are the body, the perishable body. You are the illuminator of the body, you are the light of the mind, and that light is called self, the Atman, that is eternal, non-dual reality beyond time and space. It's absolute, unconditioned self, existent and self-effulgent reality you are. Nothing can touch you, nothing can affect or infect you. You are the tentless, attributeless, eternal, unconditioned light of pure consciousness. Meditate on this and become free from all fears. The peace which the mind can attain by Vedanta, by the love of the lotus feet of the Lord, with the crest of the crescent moon, by the liberation of oneself from the forest, that is the attachment to the beloved wife, husband or sons and other relatives and others, by renunciation and by meditation just once on the feet of Shiva, cannot be obtained by vociferous disputation and sophistry. That is, by intellectual sophistry or intellectual debate or intellectual understanding of the supreme truth is not going to enable you to realize your true nature. Abidance in the self, after listening, reflecting and meditating on the eternal and immortal words of divine wisdom uttered by says Ribhu in RIbhu Gita, you become, in the sense you realize your eternal nature, the nectarine bliss of your immortality becomes manifest to you here and now. For the seers who have become liberated from the endlessly appearing objects that are seen, who are ever established without any sankalpa or thought, there is no states of waking, dream and deep sleep, and no life and no death. That is the ultimate declaration that those who have transcended the sages and seers and the wise yogis who have transcended the realm of mind have transcended the realm of waking, dreaming and sleep. And for them there is no disease or death or life. All disease, sorrow, suffering, infection, affliction, death is in the realm of the mind. And you are not the mind, you are not the body, you are witness, you are illuminator, you are the revealer of the mind, you are light of the light. That is the Atman, that is the Brahman, that is God. That you are, that is the supreme objective, and realization of this supreme objective is possible in a very effective way by listening, reflecting and meditating on the words of says Ribhu as narrated in RIbhu Gita. Let me hope and pray that it becomes all possible for all of you. That's the end of chapter 5. Chidanandaropaha Shivoham Shivoham. I am the eternal Shiva of the nature of blissful consciousness alone. Reflect and meditate upon this eternal truth and abide in this truth to become immortal, eternal, free from all fears of disease and death. This is in your hand. Do this right now, right here, in right earnest. You have suffered so much in so many lives. Now is the time to realize your absolute blissful nature. You are the embodiment of love, bliss, and beauty. Realize this truth right now, right here. You are Shiva. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Meditate on this mantra. Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham.